Greetings, Queen Tribe. It's the Queen Boss, and as promised in last week's pattern making video, this week I'm bringing you a video on how to sew joggers pants like the one I'm wearing right now. It has elastic in the ankles, in the waist, and it has a beautiful pocket. Let's do this. You're gonna need a pattern to make these joggers pants, so if you haven't watched last week's video on how to make the pattern, I've added a link to that video in the description box down below, so click, check it out, watch that video, and come right back. Trust me, it's gonna be helpful, because once you have this pattern, you can make this pants over and over again. So in the video, I also showed you how to cut out the pants, and these are all the pieces. You'll have 4 pants pocket pieces, you will have 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces. To sew this, you're going to need scissors, 1-inch elastic, a tape measure, pin cushion, sewing machine, and of course you're going to need your fabric. I recommend having or using cotton-based fabric. This is cotton-based African fabric. You guys know I'm always using African prints, so let's get into the making of it.
You're going to take the piece that has the longer crotch. You're going to place it wrong sides together. So that means the right sides will be facing out, and you're going to stitch along the crotch line here. So remember, we're doing a French seam. When you're doing the first stitch for the French seam, you're going to stitch only about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. It was wrong side together at first, now we're putting it right sides together, and this is what it's going to look like. So the seam has already been stitched once, now we're going to stitch it again and we won't have any raw edges. So this is what it will look like, and it's pretty seamless, literally. That's what a French seam is all about. Let's stitch the front piece next. So remember, you're going to place wrong sides together, and then you're going to stitch along. And now you're going to turn it right sides together and stitch along that same seam that you just made. So you're going to basically take the front of the pants, and we're going to put in the pockets now. So you're going to take 2 of the pockets, and you're going to place it wrong sides together on the pants, the side seam of the pants or the out seam of the pants, and you're going to pin along just so that you will have stability. Do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to have the pants wrong side facing up, then you're going to take the pocket wrong side facing the wrong side of the pants, and you're going to line up the top peak here with the top of the pants. Just line it up, and then you're going to add your pins for stability. Stitch here, stitch here. Alright, so you can remove all the pins now. Then you're going to turn the pockets to the other side and basically stitch again. Okay, so this is what you're going to end up with, right? Just like this. This is how your pants supposed to look. So we're going to just do the same thing on the back of the pants, and I will see you guys on the next side. Alright, so I'm back and I have the back of my pants. So I'm basically just gonna match it up now to the front. Alright people, so my phone actually started overheating while I was showing you how to stitch the pants together. But basically what you're going to do is to place the pants, first of all, wrong sides together, and then you're going to stitch from the top of the pants to around the pocket down to the bottom of the pants. Then you're going to turn it the other side and do the same thing again. So around the pocket and then down. So this is how mine looks because I did a French seam. So this is how mine is. This is how French seams look. You have absolutely no raw edges on the inside, and I absolutely love that because I think it's really clean. So the next step now is going to be to actually place the crotch wrong sides together, and you have to make sure that the seams match. So make sure that the front seam matches up with the back seam. Place them together, and that's going to be wrong sides together at first. Then you're going to stitch that from the bottom of one pants foot to the bottom of the next pants foot, and then you're going to turn it on the other side and do the same again. Make sure so the crotch matches up, and you can actually pin right there and then just line up all the way to the bottom. See? So now you just pin, pin, so now you can stitch from here going to the opposite side. Turn over onto the other side of this pants. And just stitch the crotch a second time. You have to make sure that your crotch is matching. Alright, make sure that your crotch matches, and if you want to, you can actually pin along the leg again. But because it's already stitched, it's not necessary. So you basically just crease this and just stitch along. This is how the end of the pants looks, right? So you see that there's some extra right here. So now I can just cut off this piece right here and just do the same thing on the other leg. Just cut that off. So you take your side seam and you're going to stitch along this line here so that when you're putting your hand into the pocket, it doesn't start all the way up here and it doesn't end all the way down here. And that's in line with the side seam, okay? Because we're not going to use the entire span of the pocket. This span would be way too big. Stitch from the top to about 3 inches down, and then stitch from the bottom of the pocket to about 3 inches up. All right, so let's do that. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. When you're stitching down here, make sure that it's in line with your side seam line, okay? So this line should be continuous. So we're going to measure about 3 inches from the bottom, and we're going to start in line with that stitch that was already there, and we're going to come up to about 3 inches. This is a perfect time to check to make sure that this part of your pants can actually pass your hip. If it can't pass your hip, then that means it's too small and you're probably going to have to start over and cut out new pieces. But once this part can actually pass your hip, we can go ahead and install the elastic that would be there. So something that you could do if you don't have a serger is to actually turn this once and do like a stitch around the actual pants. So I'm gonna do that right now. Now you can do the same thing with the ankles. So for the ankle of the pants, this is where the 1-inch elastic will come into play. So remember your ankle measurement that we did from the pattern that we made, and you're going to make the elastic be that exact length. So I think I got about 13, but because this stretches, instead of making it 13, I'm going to make it about 10 inches long, right? So I'm gonna measure, cut to 10, match this up, cut to 10. And then I'd fold this so that there's like a 1/4 inch overlap, and I would stitch. So now you take the pants and match the seams together. So you have these two seams. You're basically going to open the fabric out, or open the ankle out. So you'll have both seams on either sides. Then you will take this and you will put the seam of the elastic on the seam of one side of the pants and pin. Then you'll make sure that this is folded in half. Find the other side and you're going to match that up with the other seam and pin again. Okay, then you're going to stitch on the sewing machine, but when you're stitching, you'll stretch so that it will match. All right, so we're going to stitch from the first seam of the elastic. Just place it, and you're going to stitch at the very top of the elastic. So once you make that first stitch, you can actually hold the other side and just kind of stitch some more, and you have to hold it out while you're stitching it. Just stitch along, stitch along. You can remove the pins. So you see it already has that scrunchy effect. So you're going to fold the elastic onto itself, right? So it's gonna be like this. So you just fold and pin all the way around. And once you're done, you're going to stitch along the very edge of the elastic there. All right, so you're not stitching up here or in here, you're stitching right down here, right at the very edge of the elastic. And you do that going all the way around the ankle. Alright, so there we have it, ankle of the pants. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so this is how the ankles look once you're done with them. Yeah, so now we're gonna do the waist. You're going to make your 1-inch elastic be the same as your waist measurement, or like about an inch less, an inch or two less. So if your waist was 26, then you would cut your elastic about 25. Once you cut your elastic, you're gonna just fold it with a 1/4 inch overlap and stitch. Then you're going to divide it into quarters. You're going to fold at the seam, and then where you get another fold directly opposite from the seam, you're going to put your elastic. Then you're going to fold so that the pin that you just placed and the seam are facing, and this side here you're going to put a pin. Then you're going to fold it in half again so that these pieces are facing each other, and directly opposite from this pin, which is over here, you're going to place another pin. So now the elastic has been divided into quarters. Next thing you want to do is to take the waistband of your pants and find the front and the back. So this is the front of mine and this is the back of mine. So I'm going to place this seam of elastic in line with the back seam of the pants itself and pin. Alright, Then I'm going to take this piece that's opposite to that seam and line it up with the front seam of the pants, and I'm going to pin. Then you take these other pieces, so you're going to line this one up with the side seam of the pants and pin. Then you're going to line this one up with the side seam of the pants again and pin. If you don't understand what I just said, just watch it over, right? So when you're stitching it now, you're basically just going to stretch so that it will fit. So we're going to start from the first seam. Just watch how I stitch it. So you're going to place your needle in, you can take out your pin, and then you're going to do a back stitch. And what you're going to do is for each, you're going to stitch from there to this pin. And what you're going to do is to stretch your fabric. So stretch your fabric so that your elastic will cover all of the fabric that's here. And make sure that you stabilize while you're stitching. So we just got to the next pin, and what you're going to do, especially if you're a beginner, is stretch the fabric and place pins into all of the spots. Like just place pins to stabilize. Do the same thing again, stretch the fabric and pin the elastic to the fabric. And remove all these pins. This is how the pants looks so far, right? So you see that scrunchy effect coming along, and this is how the elastic looks on the inside. So what we're gonna do now is to fold the elastic and actually pin again. All right, so we're just gonna pin all the way around, and instead of just folding it and pinning, what you're going to do is stretch it, fold it, so stretch it so that the fabric will be flat instead of being scrunched like this. Stretch and fold, and just place your pin. Let's go again. Stretch and fold. So this is the waist of my pants, and I stitched right along the edge of the elastic, and it gave me that nice scrunching effect, and the ankle has the same effect as well. So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message on Instagram. I love these pants. These are a few pictures I took in them. And if this video was helpful, comment below and let me know and give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Check out my sewing playlist.